It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, a show for the most passionate fan base in the NBA.
Covington playing LaVine, topside three ball, bam! Onions, baby onions! Zach LaVine in the ball!
Your number one source for Chicago Bulls news and stories.
LaVine to White, this time he gives it to Williams for three. The rookie! The Paw! Oh my goodness, what a shot!
Hosts Jordan, Maly, and Matt Peck dive into the best Bulls news and stories around the NBA.
It's Jordan Maly. Jordan, great to see you through our 670 score scope. Yep.
Where is he?
And it's right over there, Bill. Are you flat out kidding me?
Matt Peck used to do a great job with the Bulls Outsider Show. Now he's doing Locked On Bulls.
There he is, human floor burn.
Oh, don't mess with the booch.
But watch this crossover. Casper, the friendly ghost.
Oh my goodness. Thaddeus.
So kick back,
I'm not.
relax,
I'm not.
and get ready for the best hour of your day.
I'm not.
You can just see the vibe.
And these guys are men.
Locked On Bulls starts now.
I love it. Pass to LaVine with a right-handed jackhammer slam. Oh my goodness, that was filthy.
Here are your hosts, Jordan Maly and Matt Peck.
I'm getting out the dancing shoes.
Your team every day. I'm Jordan Maly. Along with me is Matt Peck. Follow us on Twitter at Jordan C. Maly, at Bulls_Peck, and at Locked On Bulls. Hit us up on our text and voicemail line, 331-979-1369. Drop your text, your voicemails, anything you got for us at 331-979-1369. Matt, welcome back. On brighter circumstances, I would say. Yes. With a Bulls win last night against Miami. It was not fun coming back it was fun coming back always doing an episode with you, but coming back and having to do that in the fashion that we did on Sunday was not fun. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that episode. But what's going on, man? How are you?
Jordan, what's up, buddy? What's up, Bulls Nation? Great work on the Valentine stuff in the Bernstein and Rahimi show Monday morning. That was awesome, man.
Denzel gave us the gold. That's
yes.
Very much like here. Denzel just gives us the gold, and
right.
He creates the content for us.
He is the basketball playing goose that lays the golden egg of just ridiculousness. Yeah, it was nice to see the Bulls bounce back and get a win. They caught a little bit of a break. Iguodala and Kendrick Nunn, who both played pretty significant roles in the Heat win Saturday, both sat out this game Monday night. So the Bulls, took advantage of that. And we talked a lot about the rotations and Billy Donovan going big against this very small Heat team on Saturday, and that kind of backfiring. It was a flip of the script on Monday. Donovan doubles down and continues to play that big lineup, especially late in that close game where he's got Lowry, Theis, Vooch, Thad, three of those four on the floor at all times. And kudos to Donovan for doing some really good offense-defense switching in like the last 2 minutes when it was, possession. But a good response from the Bulls, who just absolutely pounded the Heat inside and got a win that they desperately needed.
It's funny. We just talked about that too on Sunday. We were kind of questioning. We were like, I don't know. Is he giving him one last shot with Thad to see if Thad can still close out games at a high level? And again, the fourth quarter wasn't Thad's fault. That last minute of the game where the Bulls lost on Saturday was not Thad's fault. But our question was more so, why do you got the dude that's got the second worst defensive rating individually over these 6 games in closing games, Yeah. So especially when Markkanen was knocking down shots in that fourth. So it was nice to see a little bit of a change too. But like you said, without a couple of their key contributors, it's hard to really tell if this was a bona fide win for the Bulls, but nonetheless, we needed it.
Oh, you definitely needed it, and the Wizards also gave you a little bit of help because they dropped their first game in forever. Their winning streak ended last night.
It took overtime.
Yeah. I mean, crazy. That team is crazy. What Westbrook's doing has been crazy.
147 to 145? Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's an epic score right there. But so the Bulls gained a full game of ground against Washington, and I just liked so much about the way that the Bulls closed that game because they made key plays on both ends. You mentioned Lowry. He knocked down a big three late in that game to put it to a 2-possession lead. He also had a big key defensive rebound, which you don't really expect from Lowry, despite the fact that the dude's 7 freaking feet tall. Daniel Theis was all over the place on both ends of the floor, making key buckets, making key passes, blocks, rebounds, grabbing loose balls. And, and also kudos to Coby White, who made some big plays down the stretch late too. It was just like a good win where instead of collapsing on either end of the floor, they like stuck together on both ends of the floor and they made big plays. They made those effort plays that you need to make late in close games that kind of the Miami Heat were known for with their play in the bubble last summer. Like they were the scrappy team that they just made the most big plays, the key plays late in games to get wins. The Bulls did that to them last night.
Like you were talking about too, the lineup was a little bit different. Like throwing Ariza out there, throwing Bam out there. Like Bam was the only guy really going for rebounds. Like Ariza he's a 3-and-D guy and can grab you 5 or 6 rebounds. But I think the important thing that everybody was sort of focusing on was the fact that Vooch and Theis were all over the boards all night last night.
They combined for like 25 rebounds.
That being said, though, like look at the lineup that they had out there. Like if you can't get rebounds over a 4-wing, 1 point guard, or 3-wing, 1 point guard, 1 center lineup, and you've got 3 bigs out there, I don't know what you're doing. So I do give them credit though, attacking rebounds, and same thing with Coby, man. I know some people wanted to gloss over it or laugh at it earlier when I mentioned it a month or two ago, especially when he was struggling with the shooting. That's come back into play, though. Like, him doing the little things is just part of his game now, which is awesome. He had 5 rebounds atop his 6 assists, so even on a bad shooting night, he still looked in control, still looked confident. And him matching up with Butler, too, these last 2 games on critical possessions, I give him a lot of credit for him because he's sticking tough. Butler's an extremely, extremely hard guy to guard, especially now, man. He just draws a foul whenever. Him and Trae Young draw fouls whenever. So I give Coby White credit for all the little things he's doing around his good shooting, even though he didn't show it necessarily last night.
Yeah, and there was one part of Coby's game in particular that I want to give him credit for and also give Donovan credit for as we continue to break down this win. First, though, Jordan wanted to remind our listeners that if they aren't using Bet Online already, they should be. BetOnline.ag. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, pun, and you can track all the action at Bet Online. This week, tons of sports action on the go. The NFL Draft is on. Kentucky Derby is back as the first leg of the Triple Crown begins this weekend. All of those are available for your betting pleasure. Get all the latest news, odds, and info for all your sport betting needs, including MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC MMA action. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop or mobile device to check out all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Don't sit on the sidelines anymore. This is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their playoff runs. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today. And with promo code LOCKED ON, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So sign up, make an account at BetOnline. So you start off with a $100 first deposit. They'll give you an extra $50. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Again, promo code LOCKED ON.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Locker Room. We were on Locker Room on Sunday, Matt, and it was a lot of fun. We had people interacting with us, just kind of wanting to, I don't know, be depressed Bulls fans together as we watched Denzel Valentine chuck up a shot on Saturday. But it was fun to react and do a little bit of extra mailbag as well. You brought to my attention that Locker Room is now testing out a beta version of their app, which is awesome. Before it was only available to iOS users. So now our weekly chats of Locker Room will be available for both iOS and Android users.
Where are my Android people at? Shout out to Zach Guilford. He was throwing me shade after that episode where I was repping the Android people and you were giving me crap for it.
The green bubble people.
The green bubble people?
The green bubble people. You're part of the green bubble people, but that's okay. We love you nonetheless.
Shout out to Zach Guilford. Come to the light, man. You're on the dark side.
No, blue bubbles forever. Go download the free Locker Room app right now. You can join us for our weekly chats. We do them every single week. It's fun. Honestly, we appreciate everybody who's been joining us. Having discussion throughout the episode, I think, entertains people, too, who are catching the episode maybe later in the day through our podcast feed or here on YouTube. But go download the free Locker Room app right now, currently available on all iOS devices in the beta version on Android. Be sure to create a profile link to your Twitter. Join the NBA group. for the latest league updates. I know you'll find a ton of incredible rooms besides just the NBA rooms or our Locked On Bulls room from your favorite teams and leagues. I can't wait to see all of you on the app. For everybody who's been joining us so far, thank you again. Be doing a Locker Room later this week. Download the Locker Room app today. Locker Room, changing the way we talk about sports.
So, Jordan, we were just talking about Coby White and the solid game that he had. Another tough shooting night and another good response where it's a night where he starts out cold and then makes some big plays in the second half after a poor first half. As you mentioned, he did have 6 assists, and compiling on his assists, I wanted to talk about the way that he and Thad played a little mini slip screen game at times last night, which contributed to Thad having his classic near triple-double kind of night. Thad had 8 assists last night. We saw before these trades a lot of Thad Young operating from that high post, that pocket passing high post position, where he'll just come and set a shallow screen and then almost slip right back away from it to get that pass from his point guard. And he'll kick it out to an open corner 3, or somebody makes a cut to the basket, and Thad, with his great passing ability, a nice bounce pass, a no-look pass, whatever, for an easy layup or an easy dunk. We stopped seeing that after the Vooch trade and the Theis and all these other pieces that Donovan was kind of shuffling around. But it was one of the most effective parts of the Bulls offense for the first half of this season. And you saw them go back to it several times last night, where Thad would bring his man up when Coby was bringing the ball up, because Coby had been struggling, dealing with some traps, dealing with some pressure as soon as he crossed that half-court line in some of these recent games when he's been back as the starting point guard. But that little 2-man game that turns into a 3-man game where Thad just sets a little bit of a screen, slips it right away, and Coby just lobs him a pass to the high pocket passing area of the high post, and then Thad can spray it out or dish it to a cutter. That was working like clockwork last night, and I'm glad to see that Billy Donovan went back to that.
I'm with you on that, too. I was actually surprised. I was looking at the advanced analytics for this Bulls team. I was surprised to see Daniel Theis, too, have a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, so he doesn't turn the ball over as much either, which I think goes to your point about Thad. Like, even if Thad can't do that, what he was doing early on in the season with Zach, and we just saw it last night with Coby, I don't know if that's going to be a consistent thing just because we talk about his energy and is he able to give us everything he's got. Over the last 2 weeks, it hasn't been good. That being said, I think Vooch being a little bit more comfortable in this system, same thing with Theis. Those are 2 passing bigs, man. So I'm hoping that they're seeing what Thad has been successful with Coby White and even Zach LaVine once he returns, seeing the success they're having together. They notice that and say, hey, you know what? I'm a pretty good passer. And same thing with Vooch. Vooch stepped up and had 5 assists in the first half. Last game. So all of that, they need to realize that this offense, until they get an actual pure point guard, is going to mainly have to be run through those bigs. And those bigs are going to be an important part of the passing game as well. That was a really good point. I think the other thing, Matt, is the defense, too. We touched on it slightly with Coby, Lowry, and even Patrick Williams, but can you believe that those 3 guys have an individual defensive rating or in the top 3 for the Bulls over this 7-game stretch without Zach? Like, we need to give some credit to Lowry Markkanen and Coby White for stepping up their defense. P. Will just does his thing, but those 2 guys especially used to get clobbered and criticized left and right for their defense, so they've stepped it up without LaVine, so they deserve some credit too.
They do. And, I mean, I still think it's weird and not ideal to see Lowry playing significant minutes at the 3 where you're asking him to guard Jimmy Butler. Like, we saw that on Saturday, and we saw it more on Monday night. And I just and Donovan obviously was asked about it after, I think, the Saturday game, saying, like, I can't remember which, member of the Bulls beat asked him, but essentially like, so I noticed that you're having Lowry guard 3s out there. What's that about? And Donovan basically said, well, yeah, based on the rotation we have, like, I want to get Lowry minutes, and playing him at the 3 at times, if the match allows it, if the matchups allow it, is a way to get him more minutes, because guess what? Lowry is now 4th on the depth chart of bigs on this team. Vooch, Theis, Thad, and then Lowry. So if you want him to still play some minutes for this team, even if he's gone next season, you gotta do that sometimes. But I'm sorry, whether it's Jimmy Butler or even not a Jimmy Butler caliber player, Lowry can't guard 3s in this league. He just can't. So, I mean, it's a give and take of there are some people on this team who have stepped up their defensive effort and capability in this recent stretch of games, and good for them on that. But you did also see last night, Donovan, and I mentioned it at the top of the show, was doing offense-defense switches at every dead ball. Like, the Bulls got a big defensive rebound. Miami fouled them. He took Lowry out, and he took Vooch out, and he put Thad and P-Dub in for the ensuing Heat possession between the free throws. And I think he did that like 3 or 4 times in the final 90 seconds. So, at least there's that. People questioning Billy Donovan's coaching ability and rotations recently, we wouldn't even see Jim Boylen make offense-defense switches in between possessions like at the final minutes of a tight game. Like, he couldn't even manage that. So, yay, Billy Donovan, offense-defense switches during dead balls of a tight game.
Boylen couldn't manage his timeouts. I mean, remember when he ran out of timeouts with 6 minutes left against Milwaukee? Like, how do you do that? So I'm with you, man.
I didn't mean to bring up Jim. I'm sorry. It's just like you have
every
to
time,
compare what we used to have versus what we have now.
It's taken us almost a full season, and we still can't get. He will never not be a part of whatever this era we call Bulls basketball is. He will never not be a part of it, because it's looking back at the bad times, so hopefully the good times are ahead. The one thing that I was going to say to your point there was to actually see Billy Donovan making adjustments in the fourth quarter, not letting things happen and then reacting. He was doing things proactively, and I thought that was awesome. I think leaving Valentine too long into the game, especially in that fourth quarter, granted he knocked down a bunch of shots, and there was definitely reason to keep him in there. He went the other way. He went with a different strategy, and it ended up working out. So that's a good catch too. I did not really notice those 4 or 5 switches late in the last 90 seconds. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because if that's true, man, that's exactly what we were just talking about and criticizing. Those adjustments were made, like you said. Boylen wouldn't have made those. He would have been, no, we're gonna do it my way. So that's awesome.
I mean, because you brought it up, let's just acknowledge the fact that Denzel only took 1 shot on Monday night.
He shouldn't have taken any
shot. My guy Big Dave was texting me during the game before we hopped on Hot Mic, and he was like, "Did you guys notice that on some possession, like Daniel Theis, who did have 5 assists in this game, 5 assists in this game, at one point appeared to look over to a wide open Denzel behind the 3-point line, and then look the other way, and then move the ball the other direction." I mean, come on, dude. Did you see Denzel's Instagram after the win on Monday night? It was like a picture of him and some of his teammates walking off the floor at a timeout, and it was like squad heart emoji, like bicep emoji, and it made me just die laughing, because it was like Denzel probably was getting side eye from all of his teammates on Saturday night after taking that ludicrous shot, and there he is on Instagram being like, "See, my teammates and I are still cool. They still love me. We love each other. This is my squad." 1 shot. And that was 1 shot too many.
He rolled the dice. He didn't realize what the outcome was going to be when he did miss that shot. You make that shot, that probably elevates you in free agency this summer. At least people are talking about you in a positive light. Somewhat.
One shot? No.
No, me and you don't think that way, but we're talking about Denzel here. Denzel is very confident in himself. If he's looking to build himself up for free agency, that shot is big for him. That's part of the highlight reel you go and show when you're trying to court teams in free agency, man. That's a shot you show people.
He's going to go start his own Big 3 team for the Big 3 tournament and sign himself to a max contract on his own team. That's the Denzel confidence paying off.
You know where he would benefit once he decides basketball, at least playing, is no longer for him? Maybe go join his brother on the bench, man. At least he'd be a good coach. He would be a great coach.
Thank you.
I've been
saying that since the rumors of his brother taking over for Porter Moser at Loyola first started. Before he was even named the head coach, I was like, cool, bye, Denzel. Go help your brother coach Loyola.
That being said, I don't even know how we got onto Denzel, but if if anything, the Bulls adjusted and they pulled out a win, and now we can at least talk for maybe another week, Matt, about the Bulls hanging around in this playoff spot, but we got to still monitor the Wizards. I thought the Wizards would get their ass kicked last night, and like we just talked about, they took it all the way to overtime with the Spurs, and the Spurs needed everything they could possibly get just to beat them. So, and at some point this week, we need to talk about Daniel Gafford, because he is absolutely destroying.
He is. I think the Wizards are 10-2 in games that he has played, or 11-2, something like that.
10-2.
Big minutes off the bench, man.
You just see how
he's getting love on like national NBA podcast. Like you were talking about him on the beginning of the Hoop Collective from yesterday, and yeah, dude, there's Gafford stands coming out of the woodwork again.
Hold that. I saw the quote from Gafford after they won, not yesterday, but a couple days ago, maybe the day before, and he said it just feels like we're all one big happy family. To that point, though, amazing to see what happens to players when they join a system that fits their strengths. Mm-hmm. The Wizards are running and gunning, and they have one of the best passers in basketball in Russ Westbrook. You have that, Gafford's going to get you 20 easy. Russell Westbrook being on the Bulls with Gafford, he would have got 20 easy as well.
Right.
The Bulls didn't have that guy.
And I think I've seen a lot of Wizards people on Twitter in the last 2 weeks saying, like, man, this Gafford guy is who this team has been missing and needing for like a decade. Haven't had that just like tough dude. And the Bulls benefited from Gafford's play on the defensive end, certainly with like the shot blocking and rim protection, but defensively he's limited as far as the amount of ground he can cover and perimeter defense. We know that. Offensively, as you just pointed out, the Bulls never really had a guard who was capable of unleashing the offensive potential of Daniel Gafford. And we're seeing that in Washington, and I'm happy for him. I think he probably felt like he got a fresh start, like all of his teammates did when AK and Eversley and Donovan all came in and the Bulls cleaned house. I think it's fair to say that Gafford didn't love his rookie year, where he wasn't getting minutes. He gets minutes because of whatever X, Y, and Z reasons, has a monster game against the Eastern Conference leading Bucks, and gets benched in the fourth quarter for no explicable reason, and then again just disappears from Boylan's rotation. He gets back out there. He twists his ankle badly. He's writhing on the court in pain, and his coach is ignoring him. Like, there are a million examples of Gafford having a pretty rough rookie year. And even though maybe he was starting to turn a corner, it's still not like he was getting a lot of time unless Wendell was hurt this season. So, again, happy for him. All the best. Meanwhile, what's Hutz been doing with the Wizards? Is he playing a lot of big minutes for him?
TBD, to be determined for him. You're right. I'm having this weird epiphany about him and about Gafford and Carter as you were talking right there. It makes me realize that the Bulls weren't a defensive-minded defensive-minded team, and they weren't an offensive-minded team, which I think contributed to Carter and Gafford's eventual failure. And I wouldn't really call it a failure with the Bulls, but you look at Orlando's now, with their blowing it up, they're more of a defensive-focused team than they are an offensive-focused team. And you look at Washington, they'll let you score 150 on you, but you better be able to stop them because they're going to score 145 on you. It's funny how guys go to places where their strengths are met with the style of play, and instantly they become better players. Between Carter and Gafford going to two different situations and having relatively a decent amount of success early, it's good to see that, man. And same thing on Gafford's point. He didn't really get a chance to struggle and play through mistakes like I think he's getting with Washington, just because Washington doesn't have any other options. And the Bulls didn't have an option to give him a chance to make mistakes. Like, they were trying to set groundwork of a winning culture, and you can't do that when you've got a guy going in there and fouling 4 times in 90 seconds. Like, you can't let guys play through those mistakes. So I don't know. Does that make sense though? Like, with Orlando and Washington and Gafford and Carter, that's just kind of how I thought about it now.
Yeah, no, I think it makes plenty of sense. A lot of time you see a guy just need a change of scenery, and maybe a system that fits his skill set, his set of traits, on either or both ends of the floor better than the system that he's in to start that season. And, you can see them really bloom in ways. Like, I think the, oh my gosh, look how good Wendell stuff was, like right after the trade when he had a few games, was a little, over the top.
Oh,
And
100%.
I think Gafford, because the Wizards have been winning inexplicably this crazy stretch of games that nobody saw coming, is getting a little bit more attention that he would if he was playing like that in losses, like he was with the Bulls. But yeah, I think on the whole, it's good to see both of them make those changes. And who knows? We might be seeing. It terrifies me to say it. We might be seeing the same from Lowry wherever he ends up next season.
Oh, God.
Jordan, before we get out of here, we've got a big matchup on deck tomorrow night. Bulls against Taj, Rose, and the Tibbs Knicks, who did just see their winning streak come to an end, just like the Wizards, with a hard-fought loss to the Suns on Monday night. But they had won their previous 9 games. No, like, amazingly difficult opponents in that 9-game winning streak. They played the Raptors twice. They played the Hornets. They played the Pelicans twice. They played the Mavs, who always play down to their competition. They played the AD and LeBron-less Lakers. And then Grizzlies and Hawks were the other two. So, like, not like a murderer's row to say, wow, they won all 9 of those games. But still, a 9-game winning streak in the NBA is not nothing. So Tibbs and his Knicks are getting a lot of love as we get ready for that matchup with them tomorrow.
Dude, and that team plays defense too. Like,
a Tom Thibodeau team? Would never have guessed.
But you look at how quickly that changed in 1 year, man. RJ Barrett too, not enough people are talking about him. Dude, next year is, I get it, 3 years out is usually your breakout year, but he is going to be unbelievable next year next to Randall. Randall's sort of breaking out as his star year this year. That team is a whole hell of a lot of fun to watch. Like, outside of this Bulls team, I have a couple teams that I like to monitor all season long. The Knicks have been one of them. The Hornets have been another for me. Just 2 different styles of play and a lot of fun to watch. That being said, is this going to be sort of like what Jimmy does when he plays the Bulls after leaving here, is where he misses big shots relatively? Like, he's missed 3 game winners or damn near game winners against the Bulls on other teams now in his career after leaving here. Is D-Rose going to just drop like 25 or 30 on us again? Because that seems like what he does very, very often every time he visits.
Well, this game's at MSG tomorrow night, isn't it?
Plays the Bulls.
Okay. Yeah, it is at Madison Square Garden. But yeah, I mean, if D Rose hits a game winner against us, dude, it'll be awesome. Like, I'm not the Rose hater that a lot of Bulls Twitter thinks that I am. It's awesome to see him having a resurgent season yet again after another trade, and he's reunited with Tibbs and he's reunited with Taj. Like, there's so much about that storyline for Rose this year that you have to just absolutely love. If he and the Knicks beat us, yeah, I'll be happy for him. I really will. But you mentioned the duo of Barrett and Randall and how they might really be on the cusp of becoming a lethal 1-2 punch. This is Randall's breakout year. Maybe it's around the corner for Barrett. You hope that they continue to develop their games, and we'll see what happens with the Knicks in the playoffs. As of right now, they are in a dead heat with Atlanta for that 4th seed and home court in the first round and avoiding the play-in in the East. A lot of Chicago Bulls fans got sick of how many minutes Tibbs played his guys. And not just Bulls fans. Media in the city started questioning Tibbs' methods. His bosses clearly started questioning his methods. Jordan, I quizzed my guys Big David John at the end of Outcast last night. I'm going to give you the same quiz right now. Without looking at the box score, can you guess the combined minutes that those two, Randall and Barrett, played last night in their loss to Phoenix?
I'm going to guess 71.
83.
Holy crap.
83. Randall played 38 minutes and Barrett played 45. I mean, is that classic Tibbs or what?
Dude, you're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to make the playoffs and win. You're doing anything you can to get there. So, Phoenix, you need everything to beat that team too. Holy crap, though.
Yeah.
That's 40-plus minutes each guy. Like, that's wild.
I mean, I'm pretty sure those two are each in the top 5 in the season in minutes per game this season.
It's not as wild as having a guy, a superstar, a year off of a devastating injury, play 51 minutes and then have to miss 2 weeks. Cough, cough, Steve Nash. Idiot. Like, how do you play KD 51 minutes and then not expect him to have to sit out?
The Nets big three have played, what, like 6 games together this season?
Seriously. So I digress. But yeah, it should be a fun matchup. And yeah, let's hope D-Rose doesn't have a D-Rose versus the Bulls type of night where he drops 20 or 25 and looks like a stud. Bulls need a win against this Knicks team. They desperately need a win. Hit us up with your reaction. 331-979-1369. Drop your text, your voicemails, anything you got for us. 331-979-1369. For Matt Peck, I'm Jordan Maly. Bulls Nation, have a wonderful day. Be back tomorrow with a fresh episode. For Jordan and Matt, we are out. Deuces.